Christmas Eve. And when you know it, we have some new investors that would love to share this story. I love the framed Christmas tree in the back. That is awesome. Let's welcome Cindy
Thank
and
you.
Joe to the channel. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. How about you, Mike?
I'm doing great. I love what I do every day. I love talking about real estate investing, and I love hearing some stories of folks doing it the right way. So, Cindy and Joe, I don't know who wants to do this, but introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, what you do, and where you are at in this real estate journey.
So, Joe and Cindy Sell, we're from Erie, Pennsylvania. We've been investing for about 8 years now. We follow your show like every day. Um,
Thank you.
but oh, here's Cindy. It's our first podcast. We belong to a lot of the masterminds in the area.
Mhm.
We do mostly buy and hold.
Okay.
We do some flipping and some prehabbing. Um, we've been helping some of the newer investors get started. So that's kind of been a new thing for us. I guess with the economy and everything, we've learned how to pivot. And I
Mhm.
think that's kind of very important at this time, at this stage.
Awesome. Well, we'll get to the pivot in a minute. I always like to go back to the beginning. Where were you guys, Cindy and Joe, 8 years ago? What was that first buy and hold or that first investment property? I think the first one's always interesting.
We were living in a 2 unit in town, and the local apartment association, we joined the apartment association, and we were hired to do that criteria for the credit reports.
Hmm.
And we were able to meet a lot of landlords. And at that time, we also bought the property that we're living in now and did a rehab on that property,
Okay.
which is also a multi-unit. So we're still at this point, 8 years, later, we're still, house hacking. Um,
I love that. House
so
hacking is pretty powerful.
it is. I mean, I can't say enough about it. Um, so we learned quite a bit from I'm going to say the older investors,
Mhm.
and as time went on, now we're becoming more seasoned. Um, we started buying houses, single family, multifamily. We
Mhm.
actually do quite a bit of
Mm.
the Burr method.
Okay.
Um, we do have a small complex in Erie also, which we were able to get some owner financing on that to carry back a second, and then
Mm.
we were able to go to the bank.
Nice.
And
We'll talk about
we've
that.
done you think about it, we've done a lot, as you call it, one rental at a time. We didn't buy 14, 15 units at a time. Like I said, we bought one that was a 14 unit. But as we were doing this, we were also doing flips,
Mm.
and we were holding back, the capital. They call it, the older investors call it dry powder.
Right.
And I think at this point, that's again another thing to, don't be broke every day. Don't be,
Yeah.
worrying about when the rents come in. Can you fix the furnaces? Can you fix the leaky roofs? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Joe, clearly, house hacking was a plus for you. I'm going to go to Cindy. And Cindy, what has this house hacking been to you? Has it been all roses and sunshine? It's 8 years. Sounds like you're still house hacking.
Yeah, actually, it's been closer to 10. When we bought this house, it was 2013.
Oh, okay,
And
10 years.
we had the apartment rented out before we could actually move into it. the,
Love
the
that.
worst, the hard part was we had our house in town rented out as well. So we stayed at grandma and grandpa's basement for about 6 months.
So it sounds like you bought a rehab project, is what it sounds like you bought
We
this
did.
first. Yeah,
He
sounds like.
came to me when the grass was about waist high saying, I found the perfect house. And I was like, I
Uh,
don't know about this.
yeah, I don't know. What are you looking at? Is there another house behind that? I want to highlight that because again, of my new investor series, all of them have talked about that initial sacrifice, right? An initial sacrifice. What I just heard was you rented out the house in town, you had the unit in the back rented, and you had to move into a basement with grandma and grandpa, which I'm sure was fun, but also probably felt like a step backwards while you worked on the big house. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's very fair.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, the relationship we made with the grandparents
Yeah.
and our boys got to know them. And it was nice because they really weren't far from our house. So traveling was short.
Mm.
And we got to spend our time working on as a family on our own house. and getting it ready so that it was like
Nice.
right after Thanksgiving we moved in.
That is awesome. And again, sacrifice is not a 4-letter word, folks. It is okay to sacrifice. Joe, I want to go back to the apartment association. That is something that is around the country. A lot of kind of mom and pop investors, a lot of one rental at a time folks, myself included, at least in the beginning. I never even thought to look to or attend or, register with the apartment association. Is that something you think just a normal mom and pop investor who's looking to do 1 or 2 houses at a time should join, get around other landlords? What do you think, Joe?
I most definitely would say that. I'm actually on the board with our apartment association. And Cindy's kind of like, I would call her my first lady. You know, she's the ladies, it makes them feel more comfortable. They can come,
Mhm.
they don't have to come to a male, they can come to a female also.
Right.
And I feel even when we're doing our apartments, it's that almost like that motherly,
Mm.
I don't even know how to describe it, but we have our tenants, once they come, they typically don't leave. We take very good care of them, not only during Christmas, but if there's a service call, I mean, it gets cold here in Erie. If the heat
Yeah.
goes out, we take care of it. You know,
Yeah.
they're going to be taken care of first.
Yeah, I love that. It's the one thing that's interesting, and again, I recommend new investors if they have the gumption. And again, one of my 7 rules is to grow your network to 2 people a week, is to at least look up the apartment association where you are. Because one thing will be certain, if you spend the time doing that, you will get around other investors. And sometimes these investors will sell properties. And oh, by the way, they're usually more experienced and they will at least consider seller financing. Maybe not at first, but they might take on a second. So it's definitely something I think more people should look at. It's something, frankly, I don't think I've talked enough about. So I like that idea of the apartment association.
We actually this past last week we had a Christmas party and we were able to sit with the couple that brought us into the association, and they introduced us to private money, private lenders,
Yeah.
and it's even in our stage we still have somebody else in the
Mhm.
association to go to,
Yeah.
and I think that's very important.
Yeah. One thing about the apartment association, folks, you're going to be dealing with some ballers, some people that have experienced lots of units. They think different, act different. If you become of service to them and help them, you will undoubtedly learn something and maybe even get access to private money, deal flow, all of those things. So I think it's definitely a plus for folks to consider. Let's go back to something else you talked about. You talked about Burr. I think Burr is an amazing strategy, kind of 2013 to maybe 2022. I think it's really, really tough these days. But why don't you talk about the experience in Burr, why it made sense, and some of the success stories?
Again, we went to the private money,
Mhm.
and the gentleman that works mostly with us has over 30 years of experience, and
Mm.
we were burring before it was Burr. And he
Yeah,
claims, he always says I was flipping before it was a thing.
yeah.
So he's kind of, again, with that pivot, he's taught us quite a bit on how to pivot, how to get on the right side of that market.
Okay.
um, but it did seem easier, when we first started, and then we went through a time where we took our work to an accountant, and maybe the accountant didn't quite put all the numbers where they needed to be, so we ran into some snags there, here and there.
Hmm.
We're actually in the middle of doing a refinance now, and again, by keeping that dry powder, um, the maybe all the numbers didn't work out quite as well. The appraisals came in a little bit short, but
Yep.
that doesn't matter at this point because we have money to put in if needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is what a lot of folks have seen in Burr recently is you've had to leave some of the money in the deal.
Correct.
You didn't, yeah, refi
Yeah.
out. Um, again, I think real estate investing is about understanding the tools at the right time. So let's get back to this word. I think you've mentioned twice now, Joe, the word pivot. So, what does that mean to you? Pivot and give us a sample of something maybe you were doing that you're not doing anymore.
I mean, when we were, I'm gonna say again, when the market was really strong, we might be doing 2, 3 flips at a time,
Ooh.
plus buying rental properties. So we had, I mean, maybe 6 projects going all at one time.
Mm.
And again, Cindy's uncle had talked to me when I first got into investing, and he says, once you see things change, he goes, start, don't get caught with 3, 4 flips. He goes,
Yeah.
because that's how the guys go down. So, we started
Mhm.
slowing that back a little bit. We started doing more quick flips, maybe buying a property, doing a prehab on it, and in and out within a week or two.
Okay.
Even a couple days we've done. So it's like that quick cash. Make
Right.
the
Yeah.
quick cash and out, and
Yeah.
again, just not living above your means. not
Yeah. That's a
living-
big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. One of my experts that I bring on weekly, Jason Pritchard, he talked about in early Q1 losing 6 figures, and how he adapted this year is he's definitely tracked his cash conversion. He went from flipping about 80% to doing more like 30% of his portfolio. The others either being direct wholesales or quick lipstick flips, in and out in 7 days. So definitely track your cash conversion, because you don't want to get got. That's for sure.
Yeah, I watched that one actually twice, because sometimes it's like you feel like you're going a separate way from everybody else, but when somebody else is talking, like that video, you really listen to it and say, hey, maybe I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. No, Jason's a legend. Man, he's the best of the best in the market that I'm in. I look up to him. He's so amazing. So Cindy, when you think about real estate investing, when you got started way back when, um, how do you guys split responsibilities? How about that, Cindy? How do you split responsibilities?
We shared them pretty equally, to be honest.
Okay.
It's, I don't know. We've always worked together on it. He deals more with contractors. I deal more with the tenants,
Okay.
but we're good at playing good cop, bad cop. As soon as one has to step into one role, the other one steps into the other role.
Nice. Nice.
I think too, it's like, and it was hard for me at first, because I would find a deal, and this was a deal. I mean, there was equity in there, and she would say, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And it was hard for me to say it's there, but she couldn't see it because she's not going to be able to rent it. If she can't rent that property,
Doesn't
it's
matter.
not going to work. I mean, and there's
Yeah.
certain things like with the
I like
taxes
that.
that I do that, maybe she doesn't, you know, we got to stay on our side. What we're
Yeah.
good at, we got to concentrate on.
Yeah. I want to talk about something that you actually referenced when you reached out to me. Apparently, you've been recognized for being Mr. and Mrs. Claus for your tenants. So, why don't we talk about what that is? And that's just got to be such a great feeling. So, tell us about becoming Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
it's it's funny because it's something that we started when we first started the business, probably a couple years into it. So we didn't have as many rentals, and it went a lot quicker and a lot easier. But now we've got a lot of rentals. It takes a lot more time, but it's still, we like to give back to people. We like to give back to the communities. We try to give back to our contractors. And if it's just bringing a smile to their face and giving them something as simple as a poinsettia, we try to give the kids candy canes, and just the joy that we can bring being dressed up. He's ringing the bells and going ho ho ho, and
So we're not talking just like in name. We're talking full on costumes.
oh yeah.
Oh, I love that. You have to share a picture of that. I think that would be fun to see. Um, what are some recommendations you guys have? Maybe one from each of you, for couples working together. How do you stay on the same page? How do you not get in, just, take the bad event from real estate and bring it into your relationship? How do you guys stay on track, level headed? I'll take one from each of you.
I'd say communication. Communication's a big one. We've got to constantly be communicating with each other. Typically, if one of us is down, the other one's up. So the other one's saying, "Hey, we're gonna get through this. We can come out from this." And
I
I'm
love
going to
that.
say again, staying, if there's something that Cindy's does really well at, I don't need to put my nose in it. And again, it's the same way, sometimes with past experiences that I've had with jobs I've had, they call it like a gut feeling. They
Mhm.
tell you, go with your gut, go with your gut.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't explain that, but a lot of times that's kind of how it goes. And I just think that we need to respect each other. And
Yeah. I really love that. Love communication. Love that. It's funny. I've said this a couple of times, but I don't think I've said it in a while. My job was to find deals, but Olivia Olivia is my Cindy in this example, obviously. She always had a veto vote. She would see everything. And if she got one of those gut feelings, to your point, she could veto a deal. And I could not, the deal was I couldn't fight her on it. So she didn't veto a lot, but I do remember a couple that she vetoed, and she was absolutely right. And I had to move on. So I think
We've
that's a
done the
lot of-
same thing on a few different deals where I'll just be like, we can't do
Nope.
this. There's no
Nope.
way. And he'll be disappointed, but then in the end, it's like, okay, you were right.
You
You
know,
were
people
right,
drive
you were
by and I'll think the best deal we ever did was not buying that.
Exactly. I'm so glad we didn't buy that one, Cindy. You're absolutely right. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, where does the portfolio sit today? How many units or doors, I guess people count these days? Where are you guys today?
We're at 70 units.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're single family, multifamily, and again, we have a complex. It's a small complex. It's like 3-4 units and a 2 unit, but they're all within,
A block
a
of each
block
other.
of each other.
Nice.
And again, we've done some flipping,
Mhm.
some, I think they call it hoteling.
Yep.
And I think, at this point, we have a goal, and, we don't need to hit 100 units.
Okay.
Some people, that's their goal. We don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're financially free. I mean, and
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
it is. It is.
It's a pretty great feeling. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about 2024. Is 2024 the year to kind of fine tune the portfolio? Is it the year to add those final 2 pieces? What does 2024 look like for you two?
I think a little bit of both. I would like to, to hit that, that 75 unit range.
Okay.
And again, if something comes in, we're definitely not going to say no if it's a good
Right.
deal. And as we went through, we bought only great deals from the beginning.
Love it.
Yeah, there was good deals that came through, and maybe we picked them up and then we passed them along to somebody else,
Mhm.
family members.
Okay.
We had two family members within the last year that have started doing the same thing, and we were
Nice.
able to help with that.
Very, very cool.
But I think, just, I guess, see how things go. And I think tightening everything up through 2024, because I think the rates will start coming down. So anything that needs to be done in 2024.
Yeah, so you could refi maybe 2025 if you wanted to get
Yeah.
the debt structure right. All right, so I'd be remiss if we didn't ask for one bit of advice you would give a new couple, right? So there's a couple, they're excited about real estate investing. They don't own anything yet, but they want to make 2024 their year. Let's get one from Cindy and then one from you, Joe. Cindy, what would be your recommendation for that couple?
Oh, I have no idea.
You know what? I'll go to Joe first then, and then we'll come back. Joe, what's your advice?
I think, taking your time, but not over analyzing.
Mm.
Take your time, only buy the great deals.
Right.
Maybe find an older investor, to be mentored. Like I said, just taking your time. Don't buy just to buy. If it doesn't
Yeah.
cash flow, don't buy it.
Yep. No alligators, folks.
No
good.
alligators.
No good. All right, Cindy, did you come up with an idea?
I mean, doing it as a couple, like you've got to be able to communicate, got to be able to work together. If one
Absolutely.
person doesn't like the deal, then figure out why or figure out what can be done to fix that deal, and always have a way out. We've always done everything so that if you can't sell it, you can rent it. If you can't rent it, you're going to find another way to make it work.
I love multiple exit strategies. I love that advice, Cindy. Guys, do you have a way that people can follow you, see the pictures from Mr. and Mrs. Claus, Instagram, social media? Where do we send people?
Well, we're on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. Sell Property Solutions on Facebook. You'll see all the Erie News Now
Nice.
clips of Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
That'd be awesome. Sell Property Solutions, correct?
Yes.
Awesome, folks. Give them a follow on Instagram. Tell them hi from One Rental at a Time. Thank you for being here on Christmas Eve. You guys are awesome. And I love that tree. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We appreciate it, Michael.
Thank you.
You got it.